Welcome to We Take You Places, the podcast for international students at the University of Marburg. In this podcast, we dive into a variety of topics related to studying and living in Marburg and learn some helpful tips from experts, other students, and university staff. Stay informed, stay inspired, and make the most of your time at Uni Marburg. Let's get started. Hey everyone, and welcome back to our next episode. My name is Eugene, and today we're going to talk about money. Specifically, the amount of money you need to study in Marburg. Disclaimer: the figures and data mentioned in this episode are accurate as of the time of recording and may change over time. Please refer to up-to-date sources for the latest information. Our guest today, MJ, will kindly share their experience and give you some helpful tips on the topic. Thank you for coming. Could you please introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is MJ. I am from the US, specifically from Indiana. I am 23 years old, and I am currently doing my master's degree here in Marburg in linguistics and German language literature.
How long do you live in Marburg, MJ?
I think I've lived in Marburg for about a year and 3 months now, so since October 2023.
Okay, and do you have a job?
At the moment, no, but I have applied for a couple, and I'm waiting to hear answers back.
What are the living costs in Marburg compared to other cities in Germany?
To be honest, I've only ever lived in Marburg. I've not lived in any other cities in Germany, but from what I've heard from other people, Marburg tends to be, for its size, a little bit more on the expensive side, but that's just from what I've heard from other people. Can't say for sure.
And how much money do you need or spend per month?
I think generally about 1,200 euros, so 1,200. But that depends per month because some months I have to pay like semester fees, and because I don't pay my insurance per month, I pay it per semester. At the beginning of the semester, I have to give a little bit more out than I'm used to spending, but it evens out over time.
By the way, how high is the fee at the Marburg University?
Right now, it's 420 euro, and that's because they're in the process of changing things with the semester ticket. I'm not sure if it's going to stay that way, because last semester it was around 403, 404, something like that. So somewhere around 420.
Okay. And what is your biggest expense category?
At the moment, probably rent and groceries combined, but when I have to pay insurance, then insurance, definitely.
And how much do you spend on groceries?
I think I spend between 250 to 300 euro per month, but that's because I don't eat out a lot. I mostly cook at home.
Mm-hmm. And how expensive is entertainment in Marburg? For example, eating in a cafe or going out?
For a cafe, I would say you would need between 2 to 10 euro. That depends on which cafe you go to and which, what you get when you're there. Like for a basic coffee, from just about anywhere, it's about 2 euro. But if you get a fancier drink and maybe a snack, then somewhere between 6 to 10.
What about a real fancy place like a restaurant or something?
So the restaurants that I usually go to are generally anywhere for one person between 15 to 30 euro. Depends on what you get. But some people I know will spend upwards of 40 to 50 euro. But you can also go way cheaper.
Are there any free or low-cost activities in Marburg that students can take advantage of?
In the winter time, less so, though there will be advertisements for activities in town. Either you'll see them on posters throughout town, or there's an Instagram account called Marburg Liebe, and they will advertise a lot of events that go on in town that are generally, especially for students, at a free or reduced price.
And are there any student discounts or special offers that help with daily expenses or that you use or know of?
So I think it depends for a lot of things like subscriptions, especially for like Spotify, for example. You can definitely get a good student discount. It goes from $10.99 to $5.99. There are also a lot of other online stores that have a partnership with this program called Student Beans, and you basically make an account. They verify that you're a student, and then you can get discounts on a lot of different stuff. But I'm not exactly sure what services they offer, like, because it just kind of pops up seemingly randomly. And then in town, there will be a lot of signs that say that there's a student discount. And sometimes you can just ask.
And what is the cost of transportation in Marburg?
So if you don't have a semester ticket, it's about €2.50 for a single bus ride, €2.50 for a bus ride. But generally, the student ticket is included with the price of the semester fees, so then you don't have to worry about paying that. You can, of course, get the Deutschland ticket if you don't have a semester ticket, if you're not yet officially a student in Marburg. And it was €49 for a while, but I believe it's been bumped up to 58.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And what is the cost of mobile phone and internet services?
I pay for my internet within my rent, but for my phone bill, I pay about $5.99 per month because I have a really basic plan because I'm mostly connected to university Wi-Fi, so I don't need mobile data. And then I get unlimited texting and phone calls. I would recommend, though, that if you are a student, probably go with a prepaid plan and not a contract, because once you get into a contract, it's really hard to get out of it. And if you find that you don't like the carrier you're with, it's really hard to switch. But with a prepaid card, then you don't have to worry about that kind of thing. And the fees are generally lower and the coverage is exactly the same.
And how much data you get for $5.99?
So the base price is just, within the base price, it's just 1 gigabyte. But my carrier generally offers like bonus data throughout the month. They'll just say, hey, you've been a customer with us for X amount of time, have an extra gigabyte or 2 on us.
As you said, the uni Wi-Fi is literally everywhere, so you don't have to worry about it. And how do you manage your finances as a student?
My bank has a budgeting feature built into its mobile app, so I use that to see where I'm spending my money. I can also choose to automatically have my money sorted between my checking account and my savings account when I get a payment coming in. And then I try to put a little bit back into a savings account each month.
Have you found it difficult to stick to your budget? And what do you do when expenses are higher than expected?
So sticking with my budget isn't super hard. I find that I have a little bit of extra money left over each month, but that's why I try to stick as much into a savings account as possible. So that way, if expenses are higher than expected, then I can pull from my savings account because it's just for emergencies. Or in the very rare case, I will have to ask my parents for extra money.
Do you think it's possible to live comfortably in Marburg on a student budget?
I think it's definitely possible. Depending on what kind of lifestyle you're used to, you may or may not have to make changes. For example, when I lived in the US, I wasn't super big on cooking. I preferred to eat out rather than cook for myself. But then I found that in Marburg, it's generally way easier to just cook for yourself. And that saves a lot of money too.
And our last question, do you have any tips for newly coming students who are just planning their budget, or some further tips on how to save some money?
So as far as budgeting goes, if your bank doesn't have like an automatic budgeting feature, then keep track of your expenses throughout the month. You don't necessarily have to do this every single time, but something I learned in school was to make a spreadsheet essentially for the entire month and keep track of money coming in, money going out, what you're spending money on, and seeing like how this adds up and how this compares. For example, like they say that rent should be about a third of your income, whether or not this is possible in Marburg, because Marburg's housing tends to be a little bit more on the expensive side. That just depends. So with the income that you have left, look and see if there are any places where you can cut back. For example, if you go out for coffee a lot, start making it at home, because then you might find that you like it better that way, or just at the very least, you can save extra money so you can go out and really treat yourself at the end of the month. And also to look and see for student discounts because restaurants or other businesses will generally post that they have a student discount offered, or at the very least, like a promotion going on. And there are some grocery stores that have an app that you can download that will show you coupons, or you'll occasionally get discounts just for using the app. Like a big one with students here in Marburg is using Lidl Plus. You can also do that for Aldi, Rewe. I'm not sure if Tegut has an app or not, but they probably do.
Well, that's it for today. Thank you for your time and have a nice day.
Thank you. You too.
And our next guest, Sajjad, will tell us about his experience of living in Marburg. Hey Sajjad, could you please introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm glad to be here. I'm Sajjad, and it's almost 3 years that I'm living in Marburg. I study Master of Economics and Institutions, and I come from Iran. And yeah, I would like to discuss some of my points of views and from my experiences in here.
Do you have a job, Sajjad?
Yes, I work as a student assistant here at the international office, and before, I was also working as a assistant for one of my professors for 2 years. Also, doing some different kind of things, like being tutorials and preparing different stuffs for the professor.
And what do you think? What are the living costs in Marburg compared to other cities in Germany?
Firstly, I would say that it highly depends on your lifestyle. But there are some general information that I can also tell, and also from my own experience. So the main difference between cities, especially in Hessen, if you want to consider Marburg to, for example, Frankfurt or Kassel or these kind of a bit bigger cities, is the dormitories, or in general where you want to live. So the thing is, here a normal dormitory, 15 meters room, which is more common. Depends also it's whether a WG or a normal a single apartment or single room or these kind of things. It normally costs around 300 to 400 euros per month, but it depends still. I mean, if it's in the middle of the city, it's maybe 500 or so, but this is really high. 500 is a bit too high for 15 meters of room. Maybe you get a bigger room with this kind of money. But so in general, I think this is the biggest part of the expenditures that you can have in Marburg, which I would say it's lower compared to other cities like Frankfurt. So for example, I have some friends in Frankfurt who are paying around 600 for such a room in middle of the Frankfurt. So yeah, this is a bit lower, but other things are kind of I would say not much different. So for example, if you want to go out and have a dinner with your friends, it's maybe still lower than Frankfurt, but not by too far. So, for example, you go out and spend 20 euros in here, and maybe in Frankfurt it's 25 euros, maybe. So, yeah, the main difference is this, but I think it's still too much. For example, if you want to pay here by 300 euros and compare it to Frankfurt, paying 500 euros, it's a bit too much difference, So, yeah, in general, I would say it's kind of a cheaper city compared to big ones.
And how much money do you need or spend per month?
I think this one still is a little bit more personal and depends on the lifestyle and kind of the living that you want to have. But for me personally, it's less than 1,000 euros per month. So if we want to deduct the, different part and talk about it separately, I would say I'm paying, I have a normal dormitory, which is a single apartment, in a Studentendorf, and I'm paying 310 euros for that per month. And additionally, I have 100, almost 44 euros for my insurance. These are the major costs that I'm having. Aside from that, it's my groceries and this kind of things for also entertainment. And summing up all these expenditures together, I would say on average, it would be around 800 euros per month or so. So less than 1,000. It depends. If you want to also consider your general expenditure over a year, for example, if you want to also have a vacation and go somewhere with your friends and also buy some stuffs for you, it maybe reaches up to 1,000, I would say.
And how high is the fee at the Marburg University?
So the fee in here, I think it's also it was different during different semesters, but now I think it amounts to almost 400 euros per semester, 410 or something like that, and it's but inclusive, like it considers and includes everything, including your semester ticket, which is a very good one of the best ones in Germany. So you have the ICE usage of the highest speed trains in Hessen, from actually even a bit further than Hessen, from Heidelberg to Kassel. You can use the ICE. And which could be a really good option if you can have any job, like for example in Frankfurt as a internship or something. And also it includes like the internet cost of the university usage, and also like a bit Mensa, the cafeteria of the university also. And yeah, the major part of it is the semester ticket, which I guess is almost 300 euros of that. And the rest are like, I think 50 euros is for the official costs of the university, and like another 50 or 70 is just for different kind of services.
And how expensive is entertainment in Marburg? For example, eating in a cafe or going out?
So for entertainment, I think it's also, again, if you want to first compare it to other cities, I guess it's still not too much less expensive. It's more or less like similar, but the thing is maybe you cannot have a very different varieties of entertainments here in Marburg compared to, for example, Frankfurt. But as for like eating outside, it's maybe like if you get a normal dish with your friends outside in a normal restaurant, it would like amount to 20 euros or something like that. And like if you go to a bar, also kind of similar. So I would say it's less expensive compared to, for example, Frankfurt, based on my experience. Both, the bars and the cafes and like other activities. But some other stuffs are also quite cheaper. So, for example, in here, the swimming pool is quite cheaper than in Frankfurt. So, for example, with also you can get it with student discount. And that would be like around 3 euros. But like, for example, in Frankfurt, it's like 6 or 7 euros. Or also the same goes for the cinema. The cinema ticket here amounts to almost 13 or 15 euros. But also depends on the cinema that you go to, for example, in Frankfurt. But I have spent like 18 euros or 20 euros in Frankfurt as well for cinema.
And do you know any free or low-cost activities in Marburg that students can take advantage of?
As for low-cost activities, I would say, so actually, first of all, I think we should consider the activities that the university is offering, which are quite varied and quite a lot, I would say. That's really amazing what we can have here from the university. So, from different sports, like different kind of, for example, dances or these kind of courses that you can have during the semesters, or like we have a really big complex, a sport complex from the university in which you can play different games. And aside from the university, I would say also there are different activities that you can do, from, as I said, pool, the swimming pool, the cinema, or like there are, of course, different angebots for different activities. Like there is a special place for like skiing during the winter, or like some kind of activities in the forest. So there's a good website from the university. A good web page, which is like if you search on the internet for leisure activities in Marburg and the university, there's a specific page in which you can find most of these offers. And like the thing is, as for the cost, so the ones from the university are quite cheap. So for example, this kind of sports that you can get are like around 30 or 40 euros per semester. And as I said, like pool is also quite cheap. Or like you can have bouldering. We have two different places for bouldering here in Marburg. And also they have some angebots, usually some discounts. And again, as I said, also for the cinema, you can have a student Angebot and get discount on it. So yeah, I would say like in most of the places, they're either quite cheap because they're offered by the university, or other private ones also usually having some discounts for students. Since I'm an international student, I had to bring some amount of money with me, which was up to, I mean, when I came here, it was almost 10,000 euros, but now I guess it amounts to more than 12,000 or something like that, and which should be blocked and like released during a year, month by month for you. But aside from that, I was working from the very early semester that I arrived here. So I was mostly financing myself through these jobs that I had. And I would say that that was quite enough. I could manage most of my expenses with these jobs that I had. So I didn't use a lot of the money I brought with me. I mean, maybe some other extra expenditures like different courses that I took. I mean, online courses, or like the certificates I wanted to get, or these kind of expenditures constitute a part of like that money I brought with me. But aside from that, yeah, with a normal job in here, you can get paid as a student with 80 hours a month. You can get almost 1,000 euro per month, and that wouldn't quite satisfy most of the expenditures.
Mm-hmm. And do you have any tips for newly coming students who are just planning their budget?
Well, I would say first of all, like try to budget your general expenditures that you have in a month. So, for example, if you want to divide it like very shortly, the general ones that goes for everyone. So the main one is the rent for your place. So think about that. If I want to suggest, I would say like don't spend more than 1/3 of your income on your housing. So for example, if you're earning almost 1,000 euros a month, it's better to keep it around 300 euros per month. That's kind of rational, I would say. And aside from that, you have the money that you got to pay over your insurance, which is almost the same for everyone, and it goes to almost 144. This is the amount that goes to students under 30. Those who are above 30 can choose for their own. So, I mean, they can get some like more of private insurances, and for them, they might pay less than like even 100 euros or so. So, I mean, but generally it's around 140 euros for those students around less than 30-year-old. And so also you have, for example, the cost of the semester ticket that you are paying for, like this 400 euros of the university fee that you pay every semester. You should also calculate it monthly. So if you want to like divide it by 12 months, I mean for 2 semesters in a year, that would amount to almost 80 euros or something like that per month. So you should also add it up to your budget. And adding them up all together and your groceries, you would say that, okay, I have an average expenditure of almost 800 or 900 euros. Then you can also consider that, okay, then I would save up to 100 euros per month. So I think if you live a normal student life and you don't want to spend a lot of money, you can even save up to 100 euros a month. I would say that's doable.
Yeah, sounds reasonable. Okay, I think that's it for today. Thank you for being with us, and have a nice day.
Thank you too.
Infobox.
The main expenses you need to plan for are rent and insurance. When it comes to food, a coffee will cost you around 6 to 10 euros, and eating out at a restaurant will be between 15 and 30 euros. Don't forget to take advantage of student discounts and events like Marburg Liebe. Always ask about student offers. If you have a semester ticket, you don't have to pay for transportation and can even use high-speed trains from Heidelberg to Kassel. Otherwise, a bus ride costs 250. You can also save on mobile data because the university Wi-Fi is available almost everywhere. And finally, track your spending using budget tools from your bank, store apps, or a simple spreadsheet. These tips will help you stay on top of your budget while enjoying life in Marburg. This was another episode of We Take You Places, the podcast for international students at the University of Marburg. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.